Ooh, honey, when I tell you the agents are still furious. They are still furious. They hit me up talking about, when they got jumped by black people, did I help them? I didn't even know. But we got to keep on their necks. That's why I keep on giving you guys these videos because people are still talking about it. Asian community is still hurting. They're still trying to figure out how they can seduce black people back into their businesses to buy, and black Americans saying they're not going back. They're thankful that, this year, 2026, was a year that black folks said they ain't going back. So I got some videos. Let's react to it, and I want to know your thoughts.
Asians are anti-black. And it is not just Asian American diaspora, it is also Asian in Asia. I am an Asian, grew up in Asia, and I have so many stories of people over there being outwardly racist and anti-black and colorist, if you care. Although I do realize that the rich outsiders situation is what a court intentionally doing to separate the minority group and pin us against each other because the midterm is coming, and seeing us hating each other, pinning us against each other is exactly what white fascists and white supremacy want us to be doing. However, but, I think it's really reasonable for these for other people to be boycotting Asian business if they are really anti-black. Because let's be so for real, a lot of them are really anti-black. So when these people saying that they are boycotting Asian business or Asian store, I am not even slightly offended. Because
I hate this comment. They think that we want to be white when we take even a slightly pro-white stance. Not that we want to be white. We just respect white men's achievements. We respect their contributions towards science, technology, philosophy, history. As a Mongolian, I respect their conquest and exploration.
Let's read what this person says. The terrible thing is that these businesses could put out a statement or make a donation or fundraise for a black organization, but no, you rather get on here and deny and call black people racist. It's not about one person. I'm going to play your game now. Did you put out a statement or did you try to fundraise for the Asian community when those black people literally were hurting, killing all those Asian people during COVID? When I got jumped by 5 black people, did you put out a statement? Did you fucking speak out for me? When all the looting that was happening, did you speak out for all those businesses that suffered? I'm gonna say again that I say in every single video. Boycott all you want. That's not my problem. It's your right to boycott. It's your right to spend your money however you want. Just don't hurt innocent businesses that has nothing to do with it just because it's owned by Asians. I cannot be any more clear than this.
Hey, black Americans, have you noticed that throughout this Asian shop owner boycott that we got going on, you got a bunch of Asians popping up saying, wait a minute, Rick Chow, he's not the same type of Asian that I am. I'm Japanese, I'm Cambodian, I'm Vietnamese, I'm all this stuff. Interesting, but you told us that we were just black. That I was the same as a Haitian or a freaking Jamaican, that I don't have my own separate lineage group, my own ethnic identity. Whenever you mention reparations, you'll get white people saying, well, I'm part Native, so and you shouldn't get it. Were you a part of the tribes who owned black slaves? I was a part of a different tribe. Or you get them saying, I'm Irish. And they mention that whole Irish slave bullshit. So every other group out there can distinguish themselves by ethnicity. But suddenly, when it comes to black Americans, we can't. No.
Percent of our revenue to black organizations. So no, I'm not going back.
I'm not gonna lie to you. This is my 6th time filming this video because I was crying. And I hate posting videos of me crying. So I'm gonna try to do this without crying. But I wanna say I appreciate your comments so much. I do, I appreciate it. And I wanna highlight it because I want black people to see it, but I also want Asian people who are on the same boat as me to see it, because I won't lie to you, friend. Probably about 15 minutes ago, I told one of my mutuals that I was fucking done with our fucking community, that I had given up hope on our community, because there are way too many people in our community in my comment sections dragging me through the mud for even speaking up for Black people. Now, this isn't a first time thing for me, okay? I get dragged through the mud by our community all the time for speaking up for Black people. Like, if you look at the history of all my videos, most of the comments that I get are from non-Black people and people in our community dragging me through the mud for speaking up. And the thing that really makes me sad, right, is that Black people are human beings. And the fact that people in our community lost sight of that. They lost sight of the fact that Black people are people at the end of the fucking day. In the videos that I mentioned that my son is Black and Vietnamese, I have Asian people telling me that my son is not Asian. I have Asian people telling me that my son is gonna grow up to be a criminal. And you're not gonna see evidence of that because I fucking blocked them. I did. For my own sanity. And I'm sad. I am. I'm sad and I'm angry. I'm sad for Black people. I'm sad for my son. I'm sad. And I'm mad at our community. I am pissed the fuck off. I am. And I know it's not everybody in the Asian community. I know that. But it's hard to lose sight of that. It really is. When every day I get hateful comments from people in our community. I do. I get told that I am pandering. I get told that I'm a pick-me. And it's like, no. If you look at my content, I have content where I am uplifting Asian people, where I am sharing the history of Vietnamese people, where I am trying to combat the propaganda on Asian people as well. I love us. I just don't love us right now.
Now this part right here, this is the one people don't expect. Because while everyone's focused on conflict between communities, there's also tension happening within communities themselves. You have got people speaking out, calling things out, trying to bridge gaps, and then getting backlash from their own side for doing it. And that says a lot. It shows that this isn't just one group versus another. It's also about identity, loyalty, and how far someone is willing to go to stand on what they believe is right. When someone is getting attacked just for acknowledging uncomfortable truth, it reveals how deep these divisions actually run. At the end of the day, this is where the conversation shifts from just economics or business to something more human. Pride, pain, misunderstanding, and the struggles to be heard. And if that doesn't get addressed properly, situations like this don't calm down, they escalate. And that's exactly what we are seeing play out in real time. Let's continue.
Hopefully y'all are having a good day. So I wanted to talk to you guys about something real quick. Also keep in mind that, again, if I'm talking slower than usual, it is because I'm trying not to swear or curse. For those of you that know, good. For those of you that don't, you know what I'm saying, and don't care, feel free to play with the playback speed. You know what I'm saying? That way it's like good for you. So I saw a video online, and forgive me because I don't know all the details, okay? I'm human, and at the end of the day, like, I still have a life to live, okay? A very busy life. Not that it's a complete excuse for ignorance, but, you know, we're trying here to where I think Black people, you know what I'm saying, are boycotting, like, Asian businesses, all Asian businesses. If you want to sit here and drop, you know, any information that you have on it, feel free to. Just don't be disrespectful or make an ass out of yourself, okay? Because I don't need that shit. Oops. And obviously, like, Asian people, you know what I'm saying, are clapping back. They're kind of like, hey, you know, that's not fair. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not all Asians, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't help that man just so happened to do it, and he just so happened to be Asian. You know what I'm saying? And I'm kind of like on the same train as them. I don't believe, and I don't view everybody as a one for all type of thing. Every single person is an individual, and I will judge you accordingly. That's how my mind works. The fact that we are sitting here judging a whole race, you know what I'm saying, or a whole community as if they're one monolith is just crazy, and is creating more unnecessary suffering and is doing more damage than good. So I really don't understand why people are doing that. And then you're going to hear people, from what I've heard from these other videos, to where these people are being petty. Oh, you know, you never like stood up for everything that we did. You know what I'm saying? You never supported all of our businesses and stuff like that. Bitch, I don't know every single fucking like black person, and I don't have enough money, you know what I'm saying, to just sit here and fucking give out to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, people forget that we're all struggling and we're all fucking human and we got our own kids and our own mouths to feed and priorities and shit. They don't even support everybody. You know what I'm saying? And personally, I'm not here picking fucking sides based on the color of your fucking skin, you know what I'm saying, or what you got in between your fucking legs. I'm sitting here, you know what I'm saying, picking sides based on if you're good or evil. You know what I'm saying? And what most people tend to do is support the businesses that have like common goods, like fucking food, you know what I'm saying? Like, places that help them like pay for gas or their electricity or stuff like that, like essentials, right? And then everything else is like all about what you're in alignment with. If you are living that sober life, you know what I'm saying, you're most likely going to be supporting anybody that's in the fitness industry, you know what I'm saying, doing normal activities. If you are a bop or a 304 and you're misguided and lost and just wandering around, you're more likely going to be supporting the clubs, you know what I'm saying, people out here making drinks from home and selling and out here like in the hookah lounge. You get what I'm saying? And it's okay because that's your money and you worked hard for it. And eventually it makes its way around. Money is like so dirty and it's constantly like, you know what I'm saying, going from one person's hand to another and just like that. That's the economy. And if I'm not mistaken, y'all can go ahead and correct me. I think the reason why they're boycotting all Asian businesses, which I think it should only be that person, because definitely hold people accountable. I am not prejudiced, you know what I'm saying, towards everybody. No. And I also don't discriminate against everybody. Okay? Nobody likes paying for some shit that they didn't do. Y'all sit here and complain all day fucking long. Like, I've been on here for almost like 3 years, right? Y'all will sit here and be like, oh my God, why do I have to pay for what his ex did? Why do I have to pay for what his mama didn't do for him? Why do I have to? But then you're sitting here and doing the fucking same thing. Y'all are a bunch of fucking hypocrites, just on a grander fucking scale, because you're hurt and you should feel hurt. You know what I'm saying? From what I've seen, if it's has to do with that little boy that got shot.
That I selected based on you all's recommendation. This decision was not about my experience with the Asian community. My personal experience has actually been pleasant. The beauty supply down the way, the grandmother of that beauty supply has personally sewn for me, made Spanx for me. Every time I go in there, we hug. She updates me on her trips to Korea. I update her on my travels. They've always been kind to me. I'm not going back. The nail salon my mom goes to, they take care of her, feed her snacks while she's waiting for me to pick her up. I'm going to encourage her not to go back. Why? Because your silence is your complicity. During the height of Black Lives Matter, I never saw none of y'all say, we're so sorry for your loss. We're going to join hands with you against what America is doing and has continually done to you. Y'all never said we're allowing
The idea of boycotting Asian businesses is that boycotts need an end game. They need a goal that you're trying to reach. And the Asian American community is so diasporic, by which I mean they are so not united, both by lines of nationality, but also by lines of like class and caste, that unless your explicit goal is just, we don't want any Asian businesses in Black neighborhoods, then I don't think there's anything to be gained. First things first, fuck Rick Chow. Anything he owns should be boycotted, and any businesses that would do business with him should also be boycotted. Think about some of the biggest boycotts you know of. In a pre-Emancipation Proclamation world, groups of formerly enslaved people would travel across Europe to tell people, do not buy American cotton. I was formerly enslaved. This is my story. Your clothes are being made with cruelty. If you think about the Montgomery bus boycott, until these buses are no longer segregated, we are going to drain this city of its resources to reach this goal. You think about the Palestine boycotts, right? We do not want to do business with any endeavor that is enabling a genocide, or even the more recent Target boycotts, where it's saying this business in response to this administration has removed their DEI initiatives and has taken black products off the shelves. If you're going to interact with black people that way, we will not be purchasing at your stores until you turn things around. If the end game of boycotting Asian businesses is to send a message about black safety and black exploitation to the Asian community, the problem is that the Asian community is a lie of white supremacy. They got multi-century beefs running, all right? Sometimes the lighter-skinned East Asians don't fuck with the darker-skinned East Asians or the darker-skinned Southeast Asians. On top of that, whether or not they even consider Arab folk or South Asian folk to be Asian at all. And to put the cherry on top of all of this, all of these places still engage in deeply anti-black behaviors. It's not inseparable. So in summary, I think there is a valid emotional response, right? Our generation feeling the exact same pain with Cyrus Carmack Belton that the generations 3 decades ago felt upon hearing about the murder of Latasha Harlins in LA. I, however, think that all of that emotion and that anger and that like righteous indignation getting directed towards this idea of just, oh, we'll just boycott Asian businesses won't lead to black safety, and I think is only just a temporary vent for frustration. Now, unfortunately, I don't know what this looks like or what this action looks like, but it's clear that the action needs to be a community response that says outwardly to everyone, we will not engage with people who see us, our people, our communities, and our children as threats. We won't. But I don't think that looks like buying into more white supremacist tropes that, you know, melt a non-united community into being one thing. I don't know what that looks like, but in my head, boycott Asian businesses looks like a month and a half of people not going to some beauty supply shops and it fizzling out.
Thank you for those of you who ordered curry tonight. We've never been open late like this before, and I've been on my own fulfilling orders, and I'm really grateful for them. I'm going to keep this as short and sweet as possible. I had a discussion with my investor. Her name is Mom. And an hour ago, it was very apparent that I won't have any more money borrowing capability starting next week. I just borrowed another $4,500 to make a payroll, and payroll has been sent. But if we don't somehow make at least $14,000 to $16,000 over the next 2 days, I will not have enough money to pay rent, and it's not enough. I have tax payments coming up. I have to make payroll next week organically, which will be the priority. And we will not be making enough this week to pay all of our bills next week, while not being able to get additional funding to supplement the shortfall. I think this is going to be the last weekend that we provide sushi service. I don't know what to do next week without an investor. So, I'm very sorry to make this announcement.
All Asian businesses, let's chat about it. This is a complicated conversation in so many ways because I see angles of possibility from multiple sides. But I always want to side on the side of trying to build bridges of solidarity. If you've never heard me say this before, hi, I say this all the time, but like solidarity is not just a word, it's an action. It's not just a hashtag or on a t-shirt that you would get at a Black excellence brunch. It's like a real thing that people have to actively work to do. Like deconstructing. You will never be at the end goal of deconstructing. And that's why it's so hard. And that's why people choose to not, or choose to stop, or choose to disengage, because you realize the more you know, the more you don't know, the more questions that need answers, and to continue on the pursuit of critiquing your worldview is an endless process, especially when you're indoctrinated by a very specific system that is invested in blood and money in keeping you in the dark about certain realities. The Black American and the model minority myth conversation is a very deep and nuanced conversation. I actually have a podcast episode about it called Diaspora Wars Are a Bore, where I kind of talk about the model minority myth as it relates specifically to African, Caribbean, West Indian immigrants that came to America post the Immigration Act of 1965. But this can expand to involve any person that benefited from that civil rights legislation because you were used. Like, this is the thing. I'm starting to cry. I'm not crying, but my eyes water up when I'm very passionate about something. It's a thing that happens anyway. But it's like, when we talk about, like, particularly leftists on this app, or people who are always like, you know, I don't know, whatever. We don't have to get into labels. But it's like, when we talk about certain things when it comes to America and its face, its true face, its true ability to morph, American culture, white supremacy, Western civilization in general, it is a truly cunning beast. I made videos a couple weeks ago talking about whether wokeness as we know it has been, you know, infiltrated, whether it was a psyop in layman's terms. And I talked about in that video how the empire doesn't care if you're criticizing the empire, but what you're criticizing ultimately allows what they want to continue. You can have the mask of revolutionary iconography, of revolutionary speech. You can do the Kendall Jenner Pepsi commercial thing, you know, like they will allow that to happen. But if what you're standing and fighting against is what they want you to stand and fight against in general, is it a revolutionary act? Like, this system has been able to continue its existence through many hundreds of years, many different, metamorphoses, many different ways of showing up in order to continue the machine going. So it takes us now in 2026 to be even more cunning, even more critical of what the actual end goals are of certain talking points, because whatever is popularized can be weaponized. The model minority myth as a concept is one of the country's, the society's best works. The idea that post-civil rights movement, successful movement of trying to democratize this country for the people that actually exist here in a real way with legislation and protections, right? And support under the law. It's no coincidence that the Immigration Rights Act of 1965 gets passed and a slew of all sorts of different diverse communities are allowed to immigrate to the United States on the backs of the civil rights movement. Great. That's great. Full stop. We love diversity here. It's the way that Western empire, specifically America, used that to shield itself, to come into its new iteration of dominance, which is the model minority myth. A lot of people don't get this, but it's like, it wasn't like everybody come. It was, you were hand selected based on certain things, based on certain privileges in home countries. Were you college educated? All of these things were ways in which America was able to filter who was coming from other nation states. And then on top of that, indoctrinating them about the African American population that had already existed here through their propaganda, but then giving them access to lending and financing and help from the government in ways that Black Americans have been effectively barred from. Okay. Like effectively cut at the knees from accessing, on top of Reaganomics, on top of the chemical warfare of the fucking crack epidemic, on top of generational trauma from slavery and redlining and lynchings and all of the things, on top of all the things that got us where we could actually leverage the power to force civil rights legislation through.
On top of all that, they sprinkled privileges on the people that came here. And those privileges were then used and propagandized to those communities that had them and weaponized towards the people that have been there and fought for your ass to be here. Do you see how it gets all twisted up? So now America, post all of the civil rights movement, can say, hey, we're multicultural. Hey, look at the Asian people here. They're thriving. Look at the African people here.
This has to be the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. I guess it's time for me to go on a G-side committing spree, on a conquering spree. Because that's what it takes to be respected. These people this clown respects the most savage type of human. Bro, this fool said pro-white, bro. I don't think even white people will say pro-white stand. This guy just bent down, opened his mouth for the... This guy bent and is getting... Yeah, you know, this makes sense. This is why whenever there's like a pushback on white people, it's usually only black people in the front line.